All right, number 21. Number 21 has the fraction of the square root of 8 over 3. Again, I want to split those, so it's 8 over square root of 3. So then when I multiply those, I'm going to multiply times the denominator, which is square root of 3. So when I bring those together, I'm going to leave those separate underneath 1, and then it's going to be all over 3. And then when I break down that 8, remember 8 breaks down into 4 and 2 and 2 and 2, so that's going to be 2 root 2. I also have this 3 left over. So my new numerator is going to be 2 root 6, and then I'm all over 3, which is D. 22, I have square root of 20 times the square root of 30. I'm going to put those both underneath, because I'm multiplying, the same square root, and then I can start breaking these down. 2 and 10, 2 and 5, there's a pair. Then I have 3 and 10, and then I have 2 and 5. Well, I have this 5 here and this 5 there. So I have a 10 coming out, and then I'm going to be left with this 3 and this 2 down here. So that's going to be 6. So it's going to be 10 square root 6, which is C. 23, I have the square root of 4 x cubed y times the square root of 2 xy to the 4th. So I'm going to combine these all underneath 1. I'm going to put them next to each other, so I have 4 times 2, and then I'm going to put the x's together, so I have x cubed, and then I have an x from here, then I have this y, and then that y 4th. Well, this 4 becomes 2 and 2, there's a pair. This y third to the 3rd times y is going to be y to the 4th, so that's really x squared, and then this y to the 4th is going to become y squared. And there's a pair there and a pair there. These went away because I kind of combined them. So I'm going to take out a 2, and then x squared, y squared, and I'm left with a 2 here, and then I have a y left over. So it's 2x squared, y squared times the square root of 2y, and that is A. Number 24, I have 3 root 3 plus 5 root 3 minus root 3. So remember, when you're adding and subtracting square roots, the square roots are kind of like variables. They act a lot like variables. So this is 1. So if I have 3 plus 5, that's 8, minus 1. So I'm going to have 7 root 3, which is D. On 25, I have square root of 27 minus the square root of 48 plus the square root of 192. So I just have to break all these down. 9 and 3, 3 and 3, there's my pair. This is going to be 4 and 12, so there's 2 and 2. 12 is 4 and 3. I'm going to go 2 and 2, so there's a pair and a pair there. If you saw this 4 right here, you could have broke down to the 4s with the pair. And then the 192, I've got 2 and 96. This goes 3 and 32. This goes 2 and 16, and that goes 4 and 4. So I got a pair there. I've got a pair with the 2s. So over here, I'm going to have 3 root 3, and then I'm going to have minus 4 root 3. 2 times 2 is 4. I have this 3 left over. And then I'm going to have plus 4 times 2 is 8. And then I'm left with this 3 which was right here. So root 3. And then now I can add those. And when I add those, it gives me, I have 3 minus 4 is -1 plus 8. So that's going to be 7 root 3 again. And that is B. Number 26, I'm simplifying. I have square root of 8 all over the square root of 27. Okay. So in this case, I know that square root of 8 is actually 2 root 2. And then I know that this is 3 root 3. So I want to get rid of that, this square root 3 right here. So I'm going to multiply times the root 3, top and bottom. When I do that, I'm going to get 2 root 6 all over 3 times now 3, which equals 2 root 6 all over 9, which is D. Okay, on number 27, 27 is the 4th root, 16, plus the cube root, 27. So when I break this down, it's 4, 4, 2, and 2, 2, and 2. So there's my group of 4. Remember, I'm looking for 4 of a kind. So this is 2. When I break this down, it's 9 and 3, and 3 and 3. I'm looking for 3 of a kind, so there it is, 3 3s. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And that would be B. Number 28 says, what are the solutions to x squared plus 9x equals 36? Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can solve this problem. You could do completing the square, but I see that 36, if I break that down, I can get to a perfect trinomial of 12 and 3 that gets me to 9. So I'm actually going to subtract 36 from both sides. X squared plus 9x minus 36 equals 0. And I know that 12 and 3 can get me to 9. So I want plus 12 minus 3. So they multiply to negative 36 and they add to positive 9. So now I set both of those equal to 0. X minus 3 equals 0. Subtract 12. X equals negative 12. And then add 3. X equals 3. So that would be B. Then I have number 29. If 10 is the sum of x squared plus 3x, so x squared plus 3x is 10, which could be the value of x? So in this case, I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, give me x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Factor the trinomial. I need numbers that multiply to negative 10 and add to positive 3. So that is plus 5 and minus 2. When I set those both equal to 0 and solve for x, I get x equals negative 5. Add 2. X equals 2. And they just are looking for 1. My choices are negative 7, negative 5, negative 2, and 5. So negative 5 was one of the choices, so that would be B. Okay, number 30. It says, what equation is part of the solution when solving the equation x squared plus 8x, and this is going to be by completing the square. So I'm going to actually leave in my blank to start off, and then 10 plus my blank. So remember, you're taking half of the b, so b divided by 2 is 4, so 8 divided by 2 is 4. Square it is 16, so I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Now, when I factor that, that's going to give me a perfect trinomial. So I have x plus 4 squared equals 26, and that actually is selection D when I get to that point. 31. This is one of the job ones. So Roger cleans the yard for 2 hours. a mule takes 4 hours to clean the same yard. How long would it take them to clean the yard working together? So this is where we go their time together over their individual. So I'm going to use Roger first. Took Roger 2 hours. Puts their time together over 4 hours for Emil, and it equals 1 full job. Okay? So from this point I need to find a common denominator. In this case it is 4, so I'm going to multiply everything by 4. So when I do that I get 4t over 2 plus 4t over 4. T equals 4. That becomes 2. That goes away. These go away. So I have 2t plus t equals 4. Combine like terms. 3t equals 4. Divide by 3. Cancels the t's out. T equals, it's going to be 1 1/3 hours. So that would be A. Okay, 32. Terry drove an average of 52 miles per hour for a 5-hour trip. During the first 3 hours, she averaged 60 miles per hour. What was her average speed for the last 2 hours of the trip? Well, I know the total distance is going to be, the average was 52 miles per hour times 5 hours. So when I do that, my total trip is going to be 260 miles. So now I need to know, I know that in the first 3 hours, okay, so the first 3 hours, she averaged 60 miles an hour, so I know it's 60 miles per hour times 3 hours. And I'm going to add that to 2 hours of, I don't know how fast she went. So it was X miles per hour times the 2 hours, and I know that when I combine those two, I'm going to get 260. So this, clean this up a little bit, 180 plus 2x equals 260. Subtract 180 from both sides. 2x equals 80, divided by 2, and x equals 40 miles per hour, which is D. (33) Which relation is a function? So in all of these, remember when you're looking for a function, okay, they should all have different x values. Okay, so when you look at all those selections, in A, they all have, the x's all have 5, so it's not going to be A. Okay, so in B, the x values are 1, 2, and 3. So that actually looks pretty good. So if you look at B, it's 1, 8, 2, 7, and 3, 8. They all have different x's. There's no repeating x values, so that is a function. 34. What is the range of the function? And then we have negative 3, 2, negative 2, 6, 5, negative 1. Okay, so we're looking for range. So remember, we have domain and range. And so when you're looking at the range, you're looking for the y value. So in here we have 2, 6, and negative 1. Okay, so it's going to be 2, 6, and negative 1. Okay, so remember that. You need to always remember domain is x and range is y. All right, 35. Which of the following is the quadratic formula? Quadratic formula, you guys should have this memorized by now. Negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac, and it's all over 2a. Okay, so that would be D. 36. The quadratic formula shows the following values. So I have a equals 2, b equals negative 4, c equals negative 3. So, and then they give you multiple choice selections. Well, remember I'm using negative b, so I'm going to go negative and then a negative 4 plus or minus the square root negative 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 3, all over 2a, which is, oh, got to put that 2 in right there. 2 times 2. So then this negative times a negative gives me positive 4 plus or minus 16 negative 4 times 2 times negative 3 is going to be positive 24 all over 4. When you get to this point, when you look at your multiple choice, you see that there's only one that has a positive 4 right there. So hopefully you see already that the answer is C. And they actually were looking back up here. I took a little bit too far by multiplying these. You didn't really, all you needed to see was that you had a negative at the B. 37 says which one solution to the equation x squared plus 6x minus 5 equals 0. So in this case, you normally will look at the trinomial, say what multiplies to negative 5 and adds to positive 6. Nothing does. So then I got to do the quadratic. So remember, this is A, this is B, and this is C. So I'm going to go negative 6 plus or minus the square root 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times C all over 2 times 1. So that's negative 6 plus or minus 36 plus 20 all over 2a. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 56. Oh, this is over. This is just 2. This is times 1. All over 2. And then when you break down 56 breaks down into 2 root 14. So this is plus 2 root 14. And then all over 2. And now when I factor out, I'm going to factor out a 2, giving me negative 3 plus or minus root 14 all over 2. So those cancel out. So my final answer is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 14. 14, not 17. Which is, they asked me for one solution, so they only give you one. So it would be A. Was one of the selections, because that would fit into negative 3 plus root 14. How do I write 17 again? 14. All right, 38. Says which is the solution set of the quadratic equation? So I have 5x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. So again, this is A, B, and this is C. So I'm going to go negative 3 plus or minus the square root 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times 2 all over 2 times 5. So that's going to give me negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 40 all over 10. Right here you should see right here underneath the square root, I'm going to get a negative number. So once you see you're going to get a negative number, that's when you know that there's no solution. So this is going to be negative, therefore no solution. No real solutions. So that would be D. $39. How many real solutions does the equation 3x squared plus 2x minus 2 equals 0? So remember, when we're looking for how many solutions, I'm going to use the quadratic. So, or the discriminant. So all I need is b squared minus 4ac. So this is a, b, and c right there. So I'm going to have 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, times negative 2. This is going to be 4 plus, negative times a negative is positive, 24. So that's going to be 28. So if it's positive, because it's positive, there are 2 real solutions. Okay, so it would be A. If you're going through this and you see that there's a negative, it would have no solutions. If it would equal 0, there would be one solution. All right, number 40. Give the graph of the function shown, determine the number of real solutions. So when you look at the graph, it kind of looks like this. So the graph does not cross the x-axis. So when it doesn't cross the x-axis, there are no real solutions. So there's 0 real solutions. So that would be C. There's 0 real solutions. Okay, it does not cross the x-axis. 41. State the x-intercepts for y equals x squared minus 4. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is set y equal to 0. And then this is, I see difference of squares, so it's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. I set those both equal to 0. Subtract 2 from both sides, solving for x, I get negative 2. Add 2 to both sides, x equals 2. So my intercepts are 2 and negative 2, and that is B. Okay, number 42. How many times does the graph y equals x squared plus 4x plus 4 intersect the x-axis? Again, all I need to do is the discriminant. So this is a, b, c. So b squared minus 4ac. So that would be 4 squared, which is going to end up being 16, minus 4 times 1 times 4. So 16, and this is minus 16. So that equals 0. So remember, when it equals 0, it's going to be one time. It crosses it at one time. There's one real solution. So that would be A, once. And our last one, 43. The equation y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3 is graphed. What are the points where the graph intersects the x-axis? Okay, so in this case, I'm going to factor. I'll set that to 0, and then I'm going to factor. So I have x plus 3, x minus 1. So I set those both equal to 0. Solve for x. X equals negative 3. Solve for x on this one. X equals 1. So it would be at 1 and negative 3, which is B.